Imagine waking up one day with the unsettling realization that the life you've been living is not truly your own. That every decision you've made, every belief you hold, and even the desires that drive you may not have originated from the deepest part of who you are, but rather from the expectations, conditioning, and unseen influences of the world around you. Think about it. How much of your identity is a reflection of your authentic self, and how much of it is a carefully constructed mask shaped by external pressures? How often do you feel like you're just playing a role, living according to a script written by society, by your upbringing, or by the fears that whisper in the background of your mind? In this video, we're going to explore one of psychology's most profound insights, the idea that life doesn't truly begin until you find yourself. But what does it mean to find yourself? Is it merely about gaining self-awareness, or is there a deeper, more transformative process at play? Keep watching, because as we uncover the hidden forces that shape your identity, you'll understand why most people never truly find themselves, and how you can break free. The final insight I'll share is the most powerful of all. It has the potential to shift not only how you see yourself, but also how you engage with the world around you. From the moment we enter this world, we are conditioned. We are given names, identities, and predefined roles. We are taught what is acceptable and what is not, what is rewarded and what is punished. This process is so subtle and gradual that we rarely question it. We adapt, we conform, and over time, we learn to suppress parts of ourselves that don't align with the expectations placed upon us. Think back to your childhood. Were there moments when you expressed yourself freely, only to be met with disapproval? Perhaps you were told to be realistic, to stop being too sensitive, or that certain emotions and desires were inappropriate. Slowly, you learned to hide those parts of yourself, to tuck them away where no one could see them. And in doing so, you began to build a mask, what psychologists call the persona. The persona is the face we present to the world. It allows us to function in society, to navigate relationships, and to gain acceptance. But here's the problem. The more we identify with this mask, the more we lose touch with our real selves. We begin to believe that we are the persona, forgetting that there is something deeper beneath it. And that's just half the story. While we're busy maintaining our public image, something else is happening beneath the surface. All those rejected parts of yourself, they don't just disappear. They form what's known as the shadow. If the persona is what we show the world, the shadow is what we hide from it. It consists of everything we have rejected or suppressed within ourselves. Our fears, our unspoken desires, our vulnerabilities, and even our hidden strengths. And here's where it gets fascinating. The shadow doesn't just vanish because we refuse to look at it. Instead, it operates beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts, our behaviors, and even our emotional reactions. The parts of ourselves that we reject don't go away. They manifest in unconscious ways, often in the form of projection. Have you ever intensely disliked someone without fully understanding why? Have you ever been triggered by certain behaviors in others that seem to provoke a strong emotional reaction? Psychology suggests that when we are disturbed by qualities in other people, it's often because those very qualities exist within us, hidden within our own shadow. But what if I told you that within the shadow lies the key to true self-discovery? That the parts of yourself you've suppressed and ignored are not your enemies, but rather the missing pieces of your wholeness. The great insight here is this. Psychological growth is not about eliminating the shadow. It's about integrating it. It's about looking into the depths of your own unconscious and facing what you have denied. Because when you do, you unlock a profound source of personal power, authenticity, and freedom. This is where the real journey begins. Are you ready to confront the truth of who you are? To break free from the illusions that have shaped you? Because what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself, and it will open the door to a life that is truly yours. Most people go through life believing they already know who they are. They define themselves by their name, their job, their culture, their past experiences. But Carl Jung discovered that your identity is far more complex than you realize. Jung believed that the self you perceive is just a surface-level construct, a fraction of a much deeper, more profound reality. Jung taught us that within every individual exists a hidden world, a vast and intricate inner landscape he called the unconscious. This realm contains forgotten memories, suppressed emotions, unacknowledged desires, and untapped potential. And according to Jung, the key to truly finding yourself is not in constructing a new identity, but in uncovering what has been buried within you. Let's pause and reflect. Have you ever felt a deep, unexplainable longing for something more? A sense that there is a greater version of yourself waiting to emerge? Jung referred to this process as individuation. He believed that true fulfillment comes not from conforming to external expectations, but from integrating all aspects of ourselves, the good, the bad, the light, and the dark. But before we can integrate these parts, we must first confront them. And this is where most people stop. Why? Because facing yourself is uncomfortable. It requires looking at aspects of your personality that you have long ignored. It demands that you question long-held beliefs, challenge your fears, and confront the inner conflicts that have shaped your life. Consider how often we avoid silence, how often we distract ourselves with work, social media, entertainment, or anything that keeps us from sitting alone with our thoughts. Jung would say this constant distraction is not accidental. It's a defense mechanism, a way of avoiding the deeper questions that linger beneath the surface. But no matter how much we try to avoid them, these hidden aspects of ourselves do not disappear. They show up in unexpected ways, through anxiety, self-sabotage, unfulfilling relationships, or what Jung called neurosis. Jung believed that our unconscious mind is always communicating with us, but we have learned to ignore its messages. However, if we start paying attention, we begin to see patterns. We begin to notice how our deepest wounds influence our choices, how our suppressed desires shape our behaviors, and how the things we fear most often hold the greatest lessons. Let's consider a powerful example: fear of rejection. Many people move through life terrified of being judged or abandoned. They seek approval, avoid conflict, and suppress their true thoughts to maintain harmony. But where does this fear come from? Jung would look deeper, beyond the surface emotion to the archetype beneath it. Here's what Jung discovered that was truly revolutionary. When we finally face these hidden parts of ourselves, they lose their power over us. Imagine what it would feel like to live without fear of judgment, to speak your truth without hesitation, to make decisions not based on what others expect, but on what resonates deeply within you. This is the power of Jungian individuation. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about becoming more of who you truly are. But how did Jung suggest we begin? How do we uncover the unconscious forces that shape our lives? Jung developed several approaches: dream analysis, active imagination, creative expression through art, and other forms of symbolic exploration as ways of accessing and integrating the unconscious mind. But perhaps the most important step is simply consciousness. The moment you begin to question your thoughts, your reactions, and your deeply held beliefs, you are already taking the first steps toward what Jung called individuation. The moment you stop running from discomfort and start facing it with curiosity, you begin to reclaim your true self. Here's a truth Jung discovered that most people never grasp. Most individuals live their entire lives as strangers to themselves. They follow the collective patterns laid out for them, never realizing they have the power to individuate. They suppress their true nature, never realizing their greatest strength lies in embracing their whole psyche. You don't have to be one of those people. Jung's psychology offers the power to break free from the illusions that have held you back, to remove the layers of collective conditioning that have kept you from experiencing life fully, to step into the fullness of who you are, authentic and whole. Now, we're about to explore something even more profound, the universal archetypes Jung discovered within the collective unconscious. These ancient patterns buried deep in your psyche hold the key to unlocking your greatest potential. What you're about to learn about Jung's archetypes may change how you see yourself forever. If the path to finding yourself were as simple as making a decision, everyone would already be living in complete alignment with their true nature. But as we've seen, the process is far more complex. It's not just about choosing who we want to be. It's about uncovering the forces that have shaped us, facing the parts of ourselves we have rejected, and integrating them into a whole, authentic identity. But here's a question Jung asked. Why do we feel drawn to certain behaviors, desires, or fears? Why do we repeat the same mistakes or fall into the same patterns even when we try to change? Carl Jung's answer was revolutionary. He believed that within every human being exist universal patterns, deep-rooted psychological blueprints that influence our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways we often don't fully understand. He called these patterns archetypes. Jung argued that archetypes are ancient collective images stored in what he called the collective unconscious, a level of the psyche shared by all human beings, inherited from the experiences of our ancestors. These archetypes shape our personal identity, our relationships, and even the way we perceive the world. Think about the stories that have been told throughout history. The hero's journey, the wise mentor, the shadowy villain, the innocent child. These characters appear in myths, religions, literature, and even in our dreams. Jung recognized they are not just fictional. They represent psychological forces that exist within all of us. And whether we realize it or not, these archetypes are constantly at play in our lives. For example, consider the hero archetype. This is the part of you that longs for purpose, that feels called to something greater. It's the part of you that seeks to overcome obstacles, grow stronger, and achieve a higher version of yourself. But this archetype doesn't exist in isolation. It's always accompanied by the shadow. The shadow, as we discussed earlier, represents the repressed and hidden aspects of the self. It's the part of you that contains your fears, your weaknesses, and even your untapped potential. In myths, the hero must confront the shadow, often symbolized as a monster, an enemy, or a great challenge, before they can truly evolve. Now, let's bring this into real life. Have you ever had a moment when you knew you needed to change, but something inside you resisted? A time when you had the opportunity to step into a greater version of yourself, but fear, doubt, or self-sabotage held you back. This is the battle between the hero and the shadow, playing out within you. The mistake most people make is trying to suppress the shadow instead of understanding it. But Jung believed that true transformation happens when we integrate the shadow, not by rejecting it, but by learning from it. Let's say you struggle with self-doubt. Instead of ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist, Jung would encourage you to ask, where does this self-doubt come from? Is it truly yours, or was it planted in you by past experiences, societal expectations, or the voices of others? What lessons does it hold? Could it be that within your doubt, there is actually a hidden strength, such as humility, introspection, or the ability to see things from multiple perspectives. When we begin to see our struggles not as weaknesses, but as messages from the unconscious, everything changes. But archetypes go beyond just the hero and the shadow. Jung identified many other forces within us, each with its own role in shaping our identity. One of the most powerful is the anima and animus archetype. Jung believed that within every man exists a hidden feminine side, the anima, and within every woman exists a hidden masculine side, the animus. These are not about gender in the physical sense, but about the balance of energies within us. The anima represents intuition, emotion, creativity, and deep connection with the unconscious. The animus represents logic, structure, discipline, and assertiveness. When these two forces are in balance, a person feels whole. But when they are out of balance, inner conflict arises. For example, a man who rejects his anima may struggle with expressing emotions, fearing vulnerability as a weakness. A woman who rejects her animus may struggle with asserting herself, feeling hesitant to take control of her own life. But when these energies are embraced, rather than suppressed, they become a source of immense strength. And this leads us to one of Jung's most important discoveries. To find yourself, you must embrace all parts of yourself, the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine, the known and the unknown. Individuation is not about becoming something different. It's about becoming whole. But there is one final piece to this puzzle, one last revelation from Jung that ties everything together, and it is perhaps the most powerful of all. Because the greatest obstacle to finding yourself is not just fear or self-doubt or external conditioning. It's something far deeper, something hidden in the very fabric of how we perceive reality itself. And in the next part, we are going to uncover it. What you are about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself, and it may just change your life forever. Throughout this exploration, we have examined the hidden forces shaping your identity, the masks you wear, the shadow you suppress, and the archetypes influencing your thoughts and behaviors. But now we must confront the deepest illusion of all, the illusion of self. You see, most people go through life assuming their identity is fixed, that they are a single, unchanging self that moves through time, shaped by memories and experiences. But Jung, along with many great philosophers and mystics, understood something radical. The self is not a static entity. It is fluid, ever-changing, and far greater than we have been led to believe. What if the version of you that you identify with right now is only a fragment of something much larger? What if the person you think you are is just one expression of a limitless consciousness that has been evolving for centuries, across lifetimes, through inherited wisdom and experience? Jung explored this idea through the concept of the self, not the small ego-driven self that clings to labels and fears, but the true self, the totality of who you are beyond the illusions of identity. And this realization is both liberating and terrifying because it means that everything you have believed yourself to be, all the fears, the limitations, the stories you tell yourself, is not the full truth. It is merely a construct, a temporary framework built by the mind. And here's the most powerful truth of all. You are not just a single, isolated being moving through life. You are a vast, interconnected field of consciousness, carrying within you the wisdom of generations, the depth of the unconscious, and the potential for transformation that is beyond imagination. But if this is true, then why do we feel so limited? Why do we experience suffering, doubt, and fear? The answer lies in the ego. The ego is not the enemy. It is simply the part of the mind that creates a sense of separation. It is the voice in your head that says, "This is who I am, and this is who I am not." It builds walls, defines borders, and keeps you tethered to familiar patterns. And while the ego serves a purpose, it is also the greatest obstacle to self-discovery. Because in truth, you are not limited to a single identity. You are a being in constant evolution. And the moment you stop clinging to the idea of who you think you are, you unlock infinite possibilities. But how do you do this? How do you step beyond the illusion of self and into the fullness of your existence? Jung offered a path, one that requires courage, deep introspection, and a willingness to surrender everything you thought you knew about yourself. First, embrace the unknown. Most people fear the unknown because it represents uncertainty. But the unknown is where growth happens. It is where transformation occurs. When you stop resisting the mysteries within you and instead lean into them with curiosity, you begin to see the world and yourself with new eyes. Second, release attachment to labels. You are not just your name. You are not just your job, your past, or your personality. You are something far beyond definition. When you let go of rigid identities, you create space for something greater to emerge. Third, listen to the unconscious. Your dreams, your instincts, your deep intuitions, they are not random. They are messages from the self, guiding you toward wholeness. The more you tune in, the more you will begin to recognize patterns, synchronicities, and signs that lead you toward your true path. And finally, surrender to the process. Finding yourself is not a destination. It is not something you achieve and then forget about. It is an ongoing journey, an unfolding of deeper and deeper layers of truth. And here's the ultimate revelation that Jung discovered. You were never truly lost. You have always been here. The self you have been seeking has been within you all along, waiting to be remembered. So now the choice is yours. Will you continue living as a fragment of who you truly are, bound by old fears and illusions? Or will you step forward into the unknown, embracing the vast, limitless being that you were meant to become? Because as Jung taught us, life does not truly begin until you find yourself. And now you know the way. If this video has helped you understand yourself in a new light, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might be struggling to find their authentic path. And if you've ever experienced a moment of profound self-discovery, leave a comment below describing what changed for you. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Remember, the journey to your true self isn't just for you. When you become whole, you help others find their way too. And that's how we change the world, one awakened soul at a time. Subscribe for more videos that will help you understand the hidden depths of your mind and unlock your greatest potential. Because this is just the beginning of what's possible when you truly find yourself.